way to win.
Estrepo in motion. Ward on the roll, in trouble, chased by Lawrence, able to get around him. Looking downfield, he'll throw over the middle, open.
Tighten up.
Let's get it, Chad. Tighten up, Chad. Stop playing, Chad. Tighten up, man.
Tighten up, chat! The Tennessee Titans have won their second football game of the season, but at what cost? That's what we'll talk about today. This is the Music City Audible Live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome in. I am Justin Graver alongside Justin Melo. We are presented by Sinkers Beverages, the premier wine, spirits, and beer store in East Nashville in partnership with 440 Sports. Justin, I titled this video, Cam Ward outduels Shedeur Sanders, which is patently false. He did not outduel Shedeur Sanders on any level, but we got to bring the people into the video, and now that you're here, we will tell you that I don't think Cam Ward played his best game. I also think he played better than the box score would indicate, which is typical for him this season. Wasn't a tremendous performance, but what was a tremendous performance was the Titans' run game, the Titans' special teams unit, and at many points, the Titans' defense stepping up to play complementary football for pretty much the first time this season. You can point to the Cardinals game, but I would point to a bunch of fluke lucky plays that went the Titans' way in that one. And the Titans come out with a 30-point game and win 31-29. How's it going?
Well, I'm doing well, no doubt about it. I've got to be. The Titans won a football game. In fact, you guys mind if I have a beer? Can I have a celebratory beer on the podcast? I'm going to pour up a 10% coconut pastry stout. This is going to be intense. You know what my favorite thing was about the Titans having a 31-point performance in that game specifically? As I pour this up, you can still hear me, right? Of course you can still hear me. They didn't get a defensive touchdown. They didn't get a special teams touchdown. It was 28 legitimate points by the offense. Now, of course, some of that helped by turnovers, things of that nature. That's the National Football League. You want to have good field position. Chimere Dike, big special teams return to start the game, got them at about the 50. They end up scoring their first opening possession touchdown. We'll talk about that a bit more. But 31 legitimate points, all by the – they could have had more than 31. I mean, with that one field goal they kicked, they went conservative there, which I thought made sense in that spot. But 31 legitimate points, first multi-touchdown passing game of Cam Ward's career, opening possession touchdown, first of the year. I want to talk about the opening possession for some reason, but I'll throw it back to you first.
Yeah, I'd like to start broad, and then we can dial in specific. First off, God's Eye Vision says your title is false. Yeah, where were you 30 seconds ago? I just said the title was false. I literally just said that. But okay, thank you for pointing out the obvious to us. I just wanted to broadly talk about Cam Ward, who starts this game. I think he might have started 4 for 4 before he had to dirt like a screenplay, which was his only incompletion for a while, but finishes 14 of 28 for a pretty ugly 50% completion percentage. Again, a very low average yards per attempt at just 4.2, totaling 117 yards. Did have the 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, a career low, only 1 sack taken against Myles Garrett and the Browns. Garrett did get his 20th sack of the season in this game for that 1 sack, but that's impressive that he only took 1 sack in this game. And the number of times that he would fake a handoff and turn to roll out on a bootleg and immediately be swarmed by 1, if not 2 Cleveland defenders and made the right play on every single one of those instances. Credit to him for that. He made a beautiful throw down the field to Van Jefferson on a 3rd and 8 under pressure. We're going to talk about that sequence in depth because that one really frustrated me. And Van Jefferson cannot come down with the catch. So again, the box score looks worse than the actual performance. But on the other side of the field, Shedeur Sanders goes 23 of 42 for 364 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and a rushing touchdown. He actually led Cleveland in rushing with 29 rushing yards. Also threw a pretty bad interception that I think we can get to in a second. But overall, to say that Cam Ward outdueled Shedeur Sanders, as I said, is not correct. But Cam Ward did lead this Titans team to victory. And I don't know if anyone else realized this. The Titans closed this game with 9 straight handoffs. 9 straight. And they didn't gain a first down on any of those. So interesting move by the Titans to go super conservative, play for the not to lose rather than playing to win. And it almost bit them in the ass, but they did come up with the 2-point conversion stop on what looked like a terrible broken play by Cleveland. Both 2-point attempts by Cleveland, just horribly misexecuted by them, which basically allowed the Titans to get the win. So anyway, Justin, you want to talk about the opening drive that ends in a Cam Ward touchdown pass to Elikiah Manor. What about it stood out to you?
Well, first off, of course, it was a good return by Shimere DK, right? It was a good job by DK getting them out to about midfield on the return. And rare that we credit the coaching staff, but I thought that opening possession, the strategy and the execution, I mean, they run the ball on 1st and 10. They're essentially running away from Myles Garrett every single time, right? 2nd and 11, they get the pass out to Shimere DK. Again, short, quick developing, obvious what the game plan is. The play design on 3rd and 10, this drive could have died right there and they would have punted, was really well done, right? Really impressive. Like Tajay Spears with the chip block on Myles Garrett. Tajay Spears, what's the weight difference on that one? But he hits the chip block and then he releases. And at first, it took me a second to realize it's a screen. I go, because Dan Moore, he's not even paying attention to Myles Garrett. I thought you were getting Tajay Spears maybe to chip block Myles, and you're going to have Dan Moore kind of take over. But he's already out there blocking for the screen. They hit the ball to Spears, 24 yards. 24 yards on that one. Really, really impressive. They run away from Garrett a couple more times. And then at 3rd and 6, great play by Chig, catching a Cam Ward ball that's just a little bit behind him, in my opinion. But we talk a lot about how they got to make more plays for Cam Ward. A couple instances in this game, they did not do that. But Chig did do it on that 3rd and 6. They get the first down. 2 plays later, the first long developing pass play of the entire sequence, the entire possession, they go max protect. And Cam Ward, I almost call that the fadeaway. He's kind of backing up the fadeaway touchdown pass to Elikiah Manor. Really good game plan, I thought, for Myles Garrett. And look, they didn't reinvent the wheel, but no one's been able to stop him this season. Even 1 sack to Myles Garrett. It was the only sack the Browns had all game, as you said. A couple times I had to chuckle. They triple teamed him a couple times. You saw there's often, of course, that whole left side, Corey Levin and Peter Skoronski, triple teaming him on occasion. But they give up 1 sack. What does that do when you're double, triple teaming him? One-on-ones to everyone else. Hats off to the rest of the line. Hats off to Tajay Spears, couple great blitz pickups on occasion. Cam Ward wrangled out of that 1 Grant Delpit sack. I don't know how he did it. And there were a couple other times, as you said, I feel like they kept running that PA bootleg to the opposite side of Myles Garrett. And he was under immediate pressure by Alex Wright or some of the other DNs. And he always got the ball off on time, on schedule, sometimes completing it, good on-time completions. Other times he had to dirt it, throw it out of bounds, whatever. You fight to live another down. You don't take a 5-10-yard loss on the sack. So
yeah, on one of those plays, Mark Schlereth is like, Cam Ward just misses his receiver on the side. It's like, no, he threw the ball away. He was under immediate pressure. What are you even talking about, bro? Like the commentary, the Titans had the Fox's worst broadcasting team pairing on this game, and it showed at multiple points. Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth, just a terrible job. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had to put that out there.
No, we talk a lot about Mike McCoy and Bo Hardegree, and probably rightfully so. But they had a good game plan to neutralize Myles Garrett, and it worked. Was certainly one of Garrett's quietest games of the entire season, in my opinion. I've got some other, I don't know where we're going to go next, I guess, but this first half, I mean, what was the score? Like, Titans take a 14-3 lead at one point.
In the first quarter.
In the first quarter. That's more points than you had them to score the entire game.
Yeah, I expected a low scoring. I expected 2 offenses to struggle in this game, and that is not what we got at all. Real quick, before we keep going, I need to get this super chat out. Tombo Brewster with a £5 tip. We really appreciate you. He says, tighten up. Titans managed to win in spite of their head coach. Love the effort from the team. I kind of have to agree that this was a win in spite of the head coach, as the Titans go into an uber conservative shell. I mean, Tony Pollard, hats off to him, had that 65-yard touchdown run, broke off another long touchdown run later in the game. I think he probably had over 90 yards, if not 100 yards on those 2 runs. I don't think he was very efficient or effective running the ball the rest. Like, I take away those 2 runs, and it wasn't like they had a consistent, good rushing attack. But you don't need to sometimes when you can create explosives like that, and Titans have been searching for explosives like that all season long. So a good job. I think that this was really truly a team win for the first time this season. We mentioned already that the Cardinals game, that was really a turnover-filled win for the Titans. And the Titans had 2 turnovers in this game. They also gave it away once. So they won the turnover battle by 1 turnover, which I don't think was super impactful. I mean, they did get set up. It might have. They did get set up with great field position, as you said. And I definitely want. There's a few things I want to hit on before we close out this pod. We're 11 minutes in. I'll probably go for like 20 more minutes or so, Justin. The things I want to hit are that sequence I mentioned where Cam Ward, which ended with the Cam Ward drop to Van Jefferson. Jefferson drops it. I want to talk about Mike McCoy's decision-making overall. I want to talk about Corey Levin playing in there for Lloyd Cushenberry and what the future of the offensive line might look like. And I want to I want to get more in on the Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders, some of the context and factors around the 2 performances. But I will tease that by just saying that I thought Sanders played a better game than I was expecting to see from him in this one. But where do you want to go first? If that's the menu, what's our next topic?
This game in general to me felt like it was a really weird game in my opinion because it's 17-14 Cleveland at halftime. We've got all these offensive fireworks in that first half that none of us expected. Early in the third quarter, it felt like the snooze fest that I expected it to be. A lot of sloppiness, a lot of punting in that early third quarter. The only touchdown of that third quarter came really late with like a minute left in it. It was because Shedeur threw that terrible interception, which maybe we'll get to at some point. And then Tony Pollard breaks off the 32-yard touchdown run. But that third quarter felt like the game I was expecting it to be. No one can score. Everyone's punting. No one can execute. It was awful. And then the fourth quarter comes, and it was fireworks all over again. I mean, Titans forced multiple turnovers in the fourth quarter, or at the end of the third, combined with the fourth quarter. They scored 10 points relatively quickly with the DK touchdown and the Joey Sly field goal. And then Cleveland starts mounting its own comeback with some Shedeur Sanders heroics, I'll even call it. So I felt this was a really weird football game. I'll go first maybe to the Cam Ward interception. I want to pair that with the sequence that you were talking about. I saw a lot of flack for the interception, and I'm not so sure I agree. I mean, it was 3rd and long. The Browns, I thought it was a really good, smart defensive play call. If I'm remembering correctly, they blitzed one linebacker and dropped the other in coverage. They send more. Tajay Spears, I want to say, initially did actually a pretty good job picking up that blitz pickup. The pressure didn't quite get there as quickly as I thought it was going to. But Cam, he holds on to it. And when I say holds on to it, I mean, exactly. I mean, I just mean the way the pocket was fairly clean on the blitz pickup. I thought if that ball comes out a 10th of a second earlier, maybe he's not dealing with the pressure. Because by the time he releases it, he's got 2 guys hitting him. He's taking a quarterback hit by 2 of the guys that got home. I just felt live that pocket was cleaner than I thought it was going to be, based on the Browns blitz. But Tajay did a great job picking up the blitz. But by the time he throws it, pressure in his face, he takes the hit by 2 guys. I just thought it was a great defensive play call by the Browns and really good execution. The underneath linebacker, the one who drops into coverage, is the one who ends up picking it off. And Nate Tice, who wrote a great article on Cam Ward earlier this week, he actually tweeted that clip mentioning how that was a staple of the Titans offensive playbook in recent weeks. And clearly the Browns had watched the film. They were ready for that slant on like 3rd and long. I didn't take huge issue with that interception at all. It's 3rd and long. It was a great, the blitz, the pressure gets home at some point, and you've got the one linebacker that drops into coverage, clearly had done his homework throughout the week. I thought it was just a tip of the cap to Jim Schwartz on that one.
Yeah, I'm with you for the most part. What I will say, though, I mean, I don't know if this is in opposition to what you just said, but it's a blitz. The Browns are bringing a blitz on 3rd down. The quarterback's job is to identify where the blitz is coming from and throw hot against it. That's literally what he is supposed to do in that situation. And he did it, and he did it correctly. Now, on that play, you have somebody coming out in the flat, and you have, I think, was it Iamaner running a slant, pretty quick slant there. Devin White is the linebacker you're talking about, who drops into coverage. Initially,
no, not Devin White. Devin White played
Devin
for the
Bush.
Raiders.
Excuse me, Devin Bush. Yeah. Those two guys were drafted in the same class. They both played linebacker. They're both named Devin. I've always got them confused their whole
LSU
careers.
and Michigan, too. They were big guys coming out.
Yeah. Anyway, Devin Bush, is initially moving and driving on the flat route. And as he starts driving on the flat route is when Cam cocks his arm to throw it. And as Cam is releasing the ball, Bush slams on the brakes, reroutes back to the middle of the field to jump in the passing lane. I think if I have to blame Cam Ward for something on that interception, it's maybe not using his eyes either enough or holding them on the flat receiver for long enough to get Bush to fully move out of that passing window. But as a quarterback, when you're against the blitz and you see the linebacker moving towards the flat, and you know your receiver's running a slant behind him, like I think Ward made the right read against the blitz and the right throw. It was just a phenomenal play by the linebacker. And if I'm going to fault Cam for something or say what he could have done better, is he could have used his eyes more to hold Bush away from that throwing lane, which might have required a no-look pass of sorts or a very late look pass. But sometimes that's what you got to do as a quarterback, especially against a blitz or against zone defenders like Bush was in that situation. You got to move them with your eyes. And I think that's a good learning moment for Cam Ward, is like, just because the linebacker starts moving that way doesn't mean he's going to keep moving that way unless you do something to influence him. And I don't know that he did enough. So ultimately, I'm with you. I don't have a huge complaint about the interception. No. It's like you see the best quarterbacks in the NFL throw that kind of interception sometimes when the linebacker just makes a really great play to get back into the passing lane. But overall, again, I think Ward did play a pretty clean game outside of the interception, and that was on another promising drive too. Oh. But I want to go to a comment here that I just starred in the chat because I think this really sums it up. Blackjack1414 says, Cam did exactly what he was supposed to do. He played within himself and the team, but finally our freaking run game showed up. This is 100% accurate. They were, from the time they took the lead, they were never trailing again in this game. And I don't think Cam Ward needed to do some of the things that he's had to do, down 10 points, down 14 points, down more than that he's had to do this season, which is like really press and try to make plays when there's no play to be made. The Browns play more man defense than any team the Titans have played against this season. And Cam Ward's numbers against man defense this year are not great. Why is that? Because man defense means we don't believe your receivers can beat our man defenders, which against the Titans receiving options is going to be 100% right every single time. The Titans do not have receivers who can go beat man coverage and be go-to guys. So of course the quarterback's numbers against man coverage are going to be worse. The Browns still have one of the best defenses in the NFL. So let's put some context on Ward's numbers by saying that. And the Titans come into this game running a very clear strategy of get the ball out of Ward's hands. Do not ask him to drop back. As few times as we can ask him to drop back, that's how many times we're going to ask him to drop back, because we do not want to put him in position to take hits and potential sacks from this incredible Browns front. And I think you saw all of that come out in the way that the game unfolded, and that to me is one of the reasons why Ward's numbers are what they are. Like there was the drive before halftime where they run it 3 or 4 or 5 straight times until they're in 3rd and 6 or something like that. And then they finally drop back to pass. And that was the one sack that they took. It's like if you run it that many times in a row and you force yourself into a 3rd and long, same thing to open the second half. Run, up the middle. No production on those runs. It's 3rd and long. You're dropping back to pass. Like, they were really trying to be as conservative with the passing game as they possibly could, knowing the opponent they were facing. And I think that was a big part of why Cam Ward's box score looks the way it does. Whereas on the opening script, where Ward's numbers and completion percentage specifically are very good, and he finished it with a touchdown pass, it's like they were scripting ways to get the ball out of his hands quickly. And actually, as you mentioned already, had effective screen games, like effective screen plays thrown in there, which they've struggled to do all season. So I think that was a big part of it. Yeah.
I do want to get quickly to the sequence that you're referring to. It's kind of a microcosm of what Cam Ward has been dealing with this year. I'm going to pose a question to you as I get through the sequence, because you might have noticed I didn't. So 3rd and 3, it looks like they've got a completion to James Prochet. First down. Well, it ends up look like a late timeout. I don't know. That's the question I was going to ask you. I don't know. Like, was the play clock must have been running down, I presume, and they thought they had to take that timeout to avoid the delay of game potentially. But the awkward part is Cam Ward actually got the snap off and got a first down. But timeout comes in first. Nathan, sorry, I just saw the comment. We did talk about the first drive. We talked about how they did a great job neutralizing Myles Garrett on that, running away from him, tripping him, the pass to Tajay Spears, where he gets the chip 24 yards on 3rd and long. And then they go max protect for the first time, and they get the touchdown pass to Alec Iomanner. That was a really, really well called, well executed first drive, Nathan, as I summarized for you since we talked about it already. But so they get the timeout, unfortunately. They wipe out the first down. J.C. Latham gets the false start on that.
Well, wait. He doesn't just get a false start. Okay,
correct.
They're lined up on 3rd.
I had the same problem with it you did because I saw your tweet.
They're lined up on 3rd and 3, and Cam Ward sees a heavy pressure look from the Browns front, and he steps forward 2 steps and is pointing stuff and making checks and barking out orders. You're not even close to snapping the ball. You're not close. How in the world do you jump? How do you false start there? I mean, have some mental fortitude and focus. What is wrong with you? So frustrating.
It ends up being a microcosm of the time situation, right? Because they get they look like they got the first down on 3rd and 3, but they call the timeout that wiped it out. Then JC gets the false start. It's 3rd and 8, and then Cam Ward with a beautiful throw to Van Jefferson
against a free running blitzer who's not blocked.
Right in his face. Beautiful throw, and Van Jefferson just drops it, right? Like on the replay, the one good thing the Fox broadcast crew said the whole time is you got a Fox Sports shirt on. Was that it looks like the DB might have grabbed Van Jefferson's shoulder at a very smart opportunity. Maybe they could have called something, maybe not. It's fine. We got a lot of Shedeur love in the comments there. I think there's this guy in here I don't recognize.
No, HTH0389 has been beating the drum that Cam Ward is a backup and yada, yada, yada.
And he's not going to like it, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that Shedeur played well in this game, played better than I thought he would. Yeah. But the difference in this game was that back-breaking Shedeur interception. That was just an awful decision. That's the stuff Johnny Manziel used to do. Let me run around for 15 seconds and then heave an arm punt that Xavier Woods easily intercepted, run it back, and guess what? The Tony Pollard long touchdown run followed it right after. That was the one that won the football game for the Titans, in my opinion. While on the opposite side, Cam Ward avoided the back-breaking turnover, the back-breaking interception that swung a game. Shedeur did the majority of his damage, in my opinion, when the Titans were up big late in this one. The two touchdown drives they had late is when he looked his best because, in my opinion, the first 2 touchdowns he scored, a screen pass to Quinshon Judkins, he takes 58 yards, and the Jerry Jeudy, it hits an easy slant, and there's nothing but green grass in front of him. So for me, the back-breaking interception was what did it, right? For me, for the Titans. So Cam Ward played within the structure of the team. Shedeur was Kevin Love on the Minnesota Timberwolves when they won 20 games and he was putting up 40 points and 25 rebounds every single game. You remember those Kevin Love years when he was a statistical beast, but the Timberwolves were terrible? Cam Ward played within the structure of the offense. Mostly, I thought, played well. The biggest issue I had with Cam in this game, individual play, was the miss to Shimere DK. I know
100%.
He had some pressure in his face. But I would like to see him complete that throw. It might go for a touchdown if he hits it. And look, those are the one. Look, certainly not making excuses for it. But those are, I think, the typical misses you see every week. I've got Red Zone on right now, and a couple minutes ago, Matt Stafford had the classic Rams play. I don't know if you saw it. Devontae Adams, it was 3rd and goal, fade in the end zone. He's got acres of separation, and Stafford heaves it out of bounds on a fade. Like it's just kind of that weekly miss every quarterback probably has. But for me,
I just got to say the title is working. We're getting people to click into this simply because it's called Cam Ward Outduels Shedeur Sanders. Yes, Mark, thank you for pointing out. If you go back to the beginning of the stream, I say at the very top that I don't actually believe that is true. But can we also apply some more context? And a lot of people are saying this in the chat, so I'm not going to fly up any comments. But to your point, firstly, I agree that Sanders looked his best as an individual quarterback in the fourth quarter, but there was a point where both quarterbacks had 12 completions, and Sanders had like 100 more yards or more maybe than Cam did. So like there was some stuff that Sanders was doing well, but I also think that the Browns were running offense with the easy buttons on. So many short, quick screens. Harold Fannin is a monster with the ball in his hands after the catch. He had 114 receiving yards in this game. I'd love to know how many of those were after the catch. I would bet like 60 or more maybe were after the catch. Sampson with Judkins, you mentioned the one already. Sampson with a lot of run after catch opportunity. Like the Titans simply don't have guys that do that.
They don't trust them. They take him out of how many times? Every week they take him out of the game for the Wildcat.
Until this week.
Well, they did it in the 2-point conversion, though.
Right.
And I think Judkins had a Wildcat snap early in the game, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there was a Wildcat snap to Judkins early in the game, and they took him out on the 2-point conversion. I mean, Kevin Stefanski doesn't fully trust him. Although I will criticize Stefanski on that 2-point conversion. I mean, the drives that Shedeur, the momentum, I thought he should have been in the game for the 2-point conversion, certainly. But it is what it is.
Especially when it looks like Judkins doesn't even know the play, and like halfway through running it, he's like, oh, I was supposed to pitch that. Oopsies. Now I'm going to try to throw it across the field after running around for 15 seconds behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah, that was a bizarre 2-point conversion sequence. I wouldn't put it past the Browns to have been like intentionally trying to lose the game there at the end, but I don't think any player was trying to do that. But if coaching staff was, I don't know that I would not buy it. But yeah, I do think like you're playing for Kevin Stefanski, who is by far and away like he coached circles around Mike. What are we even talking about?
Stefanski, two-time coach of the year, Kevin Stefanski.
Against Mike McCoy, who hasn't been a head coach in like 10 years because he was bad the last time that he tried to do it. And you also have guys like Harold Fannin Jr. and the running backs matched up against the linebackers. How many times did we see, whether it was Sampson, I think it was Sampson every time, but Sampson run that little Texas route out of the backfield, a little angle out and back in against a linebacker with wide open green grass to run up. But I will say, like ultimately, Shedeur Sanders did outplay Cam Ward in this game.
I mean, look, again, sure he did, but I think within structure of everything, they were down a ton near the end. Yeah. And to me, it was, I mean, he played well, but it was a lot of, stat padding in that fourth quarter.
I agree. And I don't just mean statistically, though. I mean, and I think Shedeur made a handful of some really nice throws. And the thing that stood out to me was the downfield touch and accuracy. Now, he didn't hit all of them. There was one, I think, to Tillman that was way underthrown, or maybe, no, it was to Isaiah Bond, Hookem, that was way underthrown, where Bond was asking for a flag. It definitely wasn't a flag. Great coverage by Baker to not commit a pass interference on a super underthrown ball. You actually don't see that all that often, but a way underthrown one to Bond, but he hit Fannin, like, perfectly beautiful throw. He hit, was it Tillman a couple times? He had, well, Tillman only had one catch, but he had a couple of really nice, like, just touch downfield throws that were right into the breadbasket. Whereas Cam Ward, as you said, he had the chance to do that a couple times. One that stands out is the one to DK, and he totally airmailed it. I mean, he has a tendency especially when he flicks it out there sidearm because he's under pressure and he's just trying to get rid of the ball, to throw them way too flat. And I don't know if he's trying to throw an accurate ball to a spot or what his process is on these plays. But in that situation as a quarterback, you cannot be trying to accurately throw to a spot or accurately trying to throw to a receiver on the run because of a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't know how that receiver is going to bend the route that they're running, right? And if DK had taken that a little more vertical versus a little flatter, he might have gotten to it and it would have been a good throw. But as a quarterback in that situation, you have to give your receiver the opportunity to make you right. And by that, I mean you put a little more air under the ball, and it doesn't matter where the receiver was going to or was heading before you throw it. Now they can find the ball and run underneath it, and then bang, when they catch it in stride, it looks like a perfect throw, but it's a combination of the receiver getting open and the quarterback putting it in a spot that allows the receiver to run under the ball. So in the offseason, one of the number one things that Cam Ward needs to work on is putting a little bit more touch, a little bit more air under those passes so that his guys can find them, locate them in the air, and run underneath them versus trying to, be accurate with where the guy indicates that he's running and then he takes it slightly flatter and the ball's thrown to a slightly more vertical spot and it's a miss. But I do think, again, the big takeaway for me is that, what did I say on the show? What was I ranting on about all week? Reading off quarterback box scores who got big-time wins. 14 of 28 for 117 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. What has to go right for Cam Ward to have that kind of stat line and the Titans win the game? Well, I'll tell you, Tony Pollard runs for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 65-yarder and a 32-yarder. The Titans block a punt. The Titans strip the ball and recover it. The Titans get an interception, and the Titans force 2 stops on 2-point conversions. That's what has to go right for the Titans to get a 2-point win with Cam Ward putting up that stat line. He did it, and to the comment before that we talked about, I think that sums it up really well. He played within the structure of the system. He didn't get frustrated when the Titans called 9 handoffs in a row or called multiple handoffs in a row and then put him in a 3rd and long situation. He just played within the system. He didn't make the big mistake, as you said. He executed on the touchdown pass to DK. I mean, that's a schemed up touchdown, right? It's not something that DK did really well or Ward did really well, but he executed the simple stuff. And I think overall he played a clean game. Again, outside of the 1 pick, which was a great defensive play, he played a clean game and he put his team in a position to win. If our defense doesn't give up a backbreaking drive, if whatever, we can win this game. And that's what they did. And that's what you want to see ultimately going forward. Now, if the Titans were down by 6 points with 3 minutes left and they get the ball back, then you want to see your quarterback put an 80-yard touchdown drive together, right? But they weren't in that situation in this game because they played well overall as a team, which is not something we've said or seen this entire season. And because of that, you can't fault Ward for this performance. They didn't need him to go throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. They needed him to do exactly what he did, and he gets the win.
They played complementary football on all sides.
Yep.
Now, I want to run through some rapid fire before we get to the draft conversation because I do think we have to have that one as well.
Oh, good point. The
run game exactly where I'm going. The run game comes alive today. I don't think it's a coincidence that was with Corey Levin at center. Corey Levin was incredible today. You could watch both touchdown runs for Tony Pollard, 65 and 32 yards. And Corey Levin throws a key block on both of them. I texted someone very close to Corey Levin in the middle of the game and said, I just want to shout out your guy because 6th round pick a decade ago, bounced around the league. This guy was brought in last year, brought back by Rand Carthon, brought back this year by Mike Borgonzi, and he's just been just an underrated guy who deserves his flowers, right? I don't think it's a hot take to say that right now he is better than Lloyd Cushenberry is for the Titans right now. And I think a lot of that probably has to do with Lloyd still coming off the Achilles tear. But the point is, I mean, maybe not. But the point
I'm starting to not give that excuse to him anymore. It's week 14.
We're not in year 2 of the
That's
Achilles
fair.
is a devastating injury, right?
That's fair.
For a 300-pound guy. But the point is, I do think right now Corey Levin is the better football player, and I don't think it's coincidence that the run game looked so alive today. Levin was so key on those big runs that sprung Tony Pollard. You've got to re-sign Corey Levin at the end of this year. It's going to be cheap, assuming he wants to keep playing. I assume he will. He's getting up there a little bit, but it's not going to be expensive because it never is to bring a guy like Corey Levin back. And then on the Lloyd Cushenberry situation, I don't want to have a long conversation here. Do I think they're going to cut him? Probably not. I think it's really hard to guarantee yourself an upgrade on Lloyd Cushenberry this often. Unless Tyler Lindenbaum hates free agency and you're going to sign him, I don't think he's going to hit free agency. I think Baltimore does whatever, franchise tag him, whatever. And I looked at the financial aspect of this. It's only financially fruitful if you designate it as post-June, which is never your first choice, right? Because you don't get to use the money until post-June, and you're in the latter wave of free agency. Yes, they have a ton of money to spend. They could do it, spend a lot of money. They don't need the Cushenberry money to spend money. But the point is, it's not that financially worth it. It's going to be hard to upgrade. I think you bring Corey Levin back no matter what. But if you move on from Cushenberry, I think you are taking a big risk. I think you're signing a mid-tier guy, or you're drafting a mid-round center and then having him compete with Corey Levin. I think there's a big chance that you end up regretting that decision. So for me, I think you keep Cushenberry, but you re-sign Corey Levin again, and you make sure you have that plan B if Cushenberry gets hurt again or continues to kind of underperform on this contract. The other thing I wanted to point out quickly, I don't know if you got a lot to say about that, so I'll move on.
I just wanted to quickly say Corey Levin looks like a starting center, and he may not be like a difference maker he may not be like an all-pro, Pro Bowl, whatever level player, but he's a connector in the middle that knows what he's supposed to do, didn't make any big mistakes. He might get run over occasionally in pass pro, but I think that he played well enough that if you did decide to move on from Cushenberry and you're able to bring back Levin, acknowledging everything you just said, that it wouldn't be the worst situation. Or maybe he's your starting right guard if Jackson Slater is not ready next year, or something. Like, he's a serviceable, and it's great to have that kind of depth on the offensive line, because those big body guys, they get rolled up on, they miss games here and there every year. You need depth at that spot, and Levin is a valuable player. So I'm with you, but yeah.
Just an incredibly, incredibly valuable player. The other thing I want to mention, because I don't think it's gonna get enough love in here, or in general, I don't think it's going to be the talking point of this game, is the performances put forth by the young players on this Titans roster. Talked a lot about Cam Ward, who caught his 2 touchdowns. His rookie receivers, Alec Iomanner and Shimere DK. Well, what about some of the other guys that are probably not going to get the buzz they deserve? Who forces that key fumble? And I believe it was the 4th quarter already. A pitch perfect hit with the helmet on the ball by Marcus Harris, who, by the way, they are asking to play boundary corner now after he looked really good at nickel, because they don't have any boundary corners anymore. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but the decision to release Samuel Womack came at a really weird point when Jalen Armour-Davis also went down with an Achilles. By the way, I've never seen anyone with an Achilles injury that's not like a torn Achilles. Like, how has Jalen Armour-Davis been out 2 weeks in a row with an Achilles injury, but he's not on IR and it's not a torn Achilles, I guess? Weird thing that I've been following.
We never talked about this, but he was limited in practice on a Wednesday and then DNP on Thursday with that Achilles, which we know from our experience covering the team, it means that he got hurt during that practice. He was limited because he got hurt and couldn't finish the practice, and then was DNP the next day. So and he hasn't practiced since, and he hasn't played. He missed 2 games. So I don't know what he's not doing on IR yet, or if the injury is like maybe not severe, and maybe it's just like a sprain.
Can you strain your Achilles? I have no idea.
Is that a thing?
I'm going to do it after I finish this beer, but. They moved Marcus Harris outside because they cut Samuel Womack at the same time. Terrible, weird decision, weird timing on that decision. Who are their other corners on the roster? Most of you don't even know. It's Kyer Elam, who they claimed off waivers, but they don't trust to play yet because he just got there. And it's Micah Robinson, a guy they claimed a couple weeks ago off waivers from off the Packers, practice squad or waivers, one or the other. I think it was off waivers. But anyway, they don't trust those guys to play. So what's their solution? They move Marcus Harris outside, which is really difficult for a rookie corner who's been thriving at nickel. And they're asking Kevin Winston Jr., the rookie safety, to play nickel on an every down basis. They've put those guys in a really difficult spot. And it's shown on occasion. They were not good last week against Jacksonville. The passing defense was not good. And they gave up some big plays today. But Marcus Harris comes up with the forced fumble. That was huge for him. How about some other young players? James Williams, who's had a difficult season, right? Thought he was going to be the starting linebacker. I think he might have played his first defensive snap today. Or I don't even know if he played on defense today.
I don't
he
know.
He did not play on defense up until today. I know that for a fact. I had written a story on Friday. He has not played on defense, not one snap this year. What does he do? He goes out there, he blocks the punt. First Titans blocked punt in 14 years Shout out to the legend. Tim Shaw was the last guy who had one in 2012. Okay.
And
Shaw,
on that
ALS,
note,
ALS fighter Tim Shaw, who had that blocked punt in 2012. How about
Go ahead. When Bones Fossil was at the podium this week, he literally revealed that the Titans have like a days since, or like basically like a last time this happened for notable special teams plays. They have that like on the wall in the special teams meeting room. And one of the ones that was up there was blocked punt, and it had been so long. And he came out and said, "We're looking to change some of these signs in that room." How like kismet is it that happens earlier this week, and then they get that blocked punt in this game? It was awesome.
Cam Ward, I talked about Cam Ward, Alec Iomanner, Shimere DK, Marcus Harris, James Williams. Obviously, Kevin Winston probably played 100% of defensive snaps in this game. I'll have to go back and look, but I imagine he did. And then the final one, not saying a whole lot, but I thought Jalen Harrell was pretty good today. Sophomore edge, played a lot. He had a big TFL that Titans Twitter posted that I had sort of reposted. And then I also think he looked like he was kind of in on one of the Jeffrey Simmons sacks.
He got half a sack.
Yes, it was that one. That's the one that I wasn't for sure, but he got half a sack on one of those plays. It was a team effort, and he also had a big TFL in the run game. You talk about the future of this organization. A lot of young players came through today. We're going to close out with go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say on that note, like Jeffrey Simmons got that sack and they gave him half a sack. And then Myles Garrett got a sack, and it was clearly two Browns players converging at the same time. And they don't split that sack, and they give Garrett the whole sack. I think they're cooking the books a little bit to get him to the record. I'm just kidding.
And shout out to Breadwinners Grand Prix, because Cedric Gray, another sophomore guy who's obviously been terrific all season, but also was quite good in this game.
Yeah.
Quinshon Judkins is a phenomenal running back, and he had no success on the ground game at all.
Well,
and I thought Cedric Gray, he had the big passing play that went for 58 yards, but as a running back, he didn't do a whole lot. I thought the Titans defense, T'Vondre Sweat played well in this game too, while we're on the topic of sophomore.
The Titans came into this game saying, we need to stop the run. We know they're going to try to run it on us, and they allowed Judkins 14 carries for 26 yards, 1.9 yards per carry. Sampson, 2 carries for 4 yards. 2 yards per carry, and Malachi Corley on an end around near the goal line got absolutely obliterated by Amani Hooker on one play. They really did a good job stopping the run, which credit to them. They came in all week, say we need to stop the run. We're going to force, if the Browns are going to gain yards on us, we're going to force them to do it during the air. Credit to Shedeur Sanders, who took that opportunity and said, okay, I'll throw for 364 yards over your heads. But one last thing I wanted to point out before we close, and I meant to say this when we were having the conversation, I totally forgot. We talked about the offensive structures that they're playing in and who their teammates are and who their coaches are when we compare Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. But we also need to compare the defenses that they were playing against. Like, I'd love to see what Cam Ward would do up against this cornerback group, who you just mentioned is already, like, the corners that started the season are different than the 3 corners who were playing 3 weeks ago, who are different than the corners playing today. Like, they're on the, 6th and 7th string corners out there. And so, yeah, Shedeur Sanders is lighting them up. He should be. I mean, good for him. I will say, he looked like an NFL quarterback. He didn't look like a 5th-round pick in his 3rd start. He looked like a guy that has a chance in this league if he gets the right, support system around him as well, and maybe does a better job of not being a mime when he's being interviewed by media people, and just taking the distractions away and just focusing on football would be good for him. But it was also nice to see after Judy scored that long touchdown that he and Judy had a moment of embracing, because they were videoed yelling at each other on the sidelines a week ago. So good for them. But come on, the Titans, Cam Ward's up against the best defense in the NFL, or at least a top 3 defense, maybe with the Seahawks and the Broncos thrown in there. Is there another one I'm forgetting? There's another team with a really good pass rush, but the Texans, obviously. Texans, Seahawks, Browns, and Broncos are
Rams.
The 4
played
Rams.
The Rams earlier.
Those are the 5 best defenses in football, and Cam Ward's had to play against all 5 of them. And Jim Schwartz clearly making key adjustments after that first quarter to limit what the Titans were able to do on offense, and Cam Ward continuously being pushed, given the ball in a 3rd and long situation after 2 failed handoffs and saying, go make magic happen, which credit to him that he didn't really have to try to do that as much in this game. But we can't end that conversation and this podcast that's literally titled Cam Ward Outduels Shedeur Sanders. False title, I'll admit it. I've said it 4 times now, if anyone's just joining the stream. But without mentioning the fact that the defenses they're playing against, the Titans have one of the worst pass defenses. What was the stat you read earlier this week? Titans had given up the most passing yards in the NFL, or second most over the last month.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Another tip in here. Tankathon was my only hope this season. Let's close with that conversation quickly. We can hit it later this week when we have more updates on wins and losses and everything, because the Raiders are playing right now. What's the score? They're down 14-7 right now. The Saints win today at Tampa Bay.
That helped. That helped.
What a win for New Orleans. So New Orleans goes to 3 wins. Browns stay at 3 wins. The other teams with 3 wins are Washington, New York Jets, and Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals playing right now as well. I don't expect them to beat the Rams. Jets get blown out by Miami. Washington loses Jaden Daniels again and gets blown out again. Did I shout this out? Woodrin the Goodie with a tip here. Tankathon was my only hope this season. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Woodrin.
Really appreciate that support there. But so the Titans actually, with the Giants on bye this week, have fallen to the 2nd pick. And if the Raiders end up losing to the Broncos, which they are currently doing, thank you so much, DJ Silent 01. Another tip here. These penalties got to stop. It's killing Cam on off. I agree with that 100%. It is it's crazy how much the penalties are so frustrating. But anyway, so Titans are in second with the 2nd pick right now. If the Raiders go on to lose the game that they're currently losing, the Titans will fall to 3rd because of strength of schedule. So that's about as low as they can go this week. If the Titans end up getting to 3 wins, they will drop to the bottom of the Cleveland, New Orleans, Washington, New York Jets tier, putting them at the 7th pick. But if the Titans beat the Saints, that would possibly happen. However, the Giants and the Raiders play each other in Week 17. One of them's getting to 3 wins. If the Titans lose that game to New Orleans, who just beat Tampa Bay today, then New Orleans is at 4 wins. You just need whoever loses between the Giants and the Raiders to find one more win on their schedule. Maybe it's a Week 18 against a team resting their starters, or maybe it's who knows, a fluky, random, who knows what the heck game. But if you want the Titans to get the number 1 pick, which we all do, it was really fun watching them win this game, though. Let's just say this was a really fun back and forth. Titans jump out to the lead. Browns come back and retake the lead. Titans jump out to a double-digit lead. Browns come back and almost tie the game, but fail on a 2-point conversion. And I got to shout out 2 more tips, super chats here in this live stream.
Incredible.
We really love you guys. Debata. Oh, I get it. It's like
I think it's D-A-Beta. Hell, I think it's a first initial last name. Let us know in the comments, because me and Graver, we went opposite ends on that one. I think it's first initial last name. I don't think it's
with
a play on debate. Is what you went with.
Yeah. Hoping the staff isn't hindering Ward's progress.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you're seeing him get better.
They weren't doing a lot to help him, but they also weren't putting him in position to fail today.
I disagree with that, and I'll call you out on it. They weren't doing a lot to help him. They made sure they neutralized Myles Garrett, and that's the best way you could help him today.
That's
against
fair.
This defense, right? Like the quick developing stuff. They did a decent job with this game plan. They scored 31 points.
Yeah, I agree.
The staff was as bad today as everyone's making them out to be. I don't
think they were necessarily bad today, but they didn't let Ward loose. They didn't let him do anything.
No,
it felt like the training wheels.
Defense, and they.
I agree. I agree. It felt like the training wheels were on, and I texted this to the group chat. It was in the 4th quarter, the first time that Ward dropped back to pass in a real drop back that doesn't have play action or a quick screen or whatever, and wasn't under pressure. The first time that happened was in the 4th quarter, and it was on the 3rd and long completion conversion to Shimmer DK. So it was a good play, but it was like he didn't get a chance to drop back and throw the ball over the yard, which is fine against this defense when you're winning majority of the game, for most of the game, from points. I mean, the middle of the game they weren't winning, but at the beginning and the end they were winning for a lot of the game.
Let's shout out Handsome with the $5 super tip as well. A win is only worth it if Cam looks good. He looked off. I don't think he looked awful today. Again, I think we've talked a lot about him playing within the structure of the offense. I mean, how many negative plays? When I think looked awful, how many negative plays can you really think of? You want to put the interception, sure. We talked about that being a great defensive play, but I'll concede that. The miss to Shimmer DK, I can't really think of anything else. Like it was, 2 glaring plays that you might point out, but I don't think he looked awful. I think you got to take game flow and game script into account. And the Titans were leading this game big early, and then eventually we're leading it big late as well. So I think you got to take that into account. Even though we slightly disagree, Handsome, we appreciate the $5 super tip. Obviously, that is incredibly kind and generous of you. We thank you so much. As we've been hanging out for 50 minutes here, I'll talk about look, you can't control it, right? Like, we can't control whether they win or lose. Did I have fun? Yes. Did I enjoy that victory? Absolutely, I did. The Saints win does help a little bit, kind of if you were rooting for the number one pick, that helps that they won this game, that the Saints won as well. But I will say that, falling probably to number 3 in the order, I presume that the Raiders it's a close game though, and they only lost by 3
on Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago.
The first time they played Denver, so it's a divisional game. As you said, anything can go. So it'd be great if the Raiders won this game, but I'm predicting they're going to fall to number 3 in the draft order. Of course, you'd love to maintain number 1 and maybe get a haul for that pick. I mean, that's ideal to accelerate the rebuild. But, wow, this tip that just came through.
Holy cow.
Barrister, that is unbelievable. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We do this show more so out of the love for the Titans than we do for the monetary gain that we get from it. There's a lot more that goes into this show than the return that we see. So we really, really appreciate stuff like that. Having true fans and supporters like you really does make it worth it. I really do mean it. We appreciate the heck out of that. That is incredible. If they get rich, they'll retire. Stop. We are never going to get rich off doing this show. So Iron Grids, you got nothing to worry about. We're going to be here forever. Yes, you could have the debate, regarding the draft order, but I enjoyed the win. And think of it like this. Look, I'm not saying it offsets it completely, but if the Titans, if they end up at number 3, they're going to end up drafting the same guy they were going to draft anyway, right? Because if they were going to trade down, it was going to be for one of those edges or receivers. But of course, you lose out on the ability to get all these extra picks. But, we'll see. Again, the unpredictability of the NFL. No one had the Saints beating the Bucs today on the bingo card. It would be a dream come true if the Raiders could upset the Broncos here. I'm not expecting it. And I will say this. I do think that the Giants have another win in them this year. As long as Jackson Dart is healthy, he's been pretty good for them. I don't think the Giants have won their final game this year if Jackson Dart's in the lineup. So we will see. We will see what happens the rest of the way. It's unpredictable. I mean, as you said, the Raiders and Giants play each other still, right? So a lot's going to change, and of course, the Titans and the Saints play each other. So that's still going to change as well. But do you have any thoughts about the draft, the win today, and how you're looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'll throw this this comment up there. Justin, you and I are in a group chat with this person, DJ Silent01. Says, who cares? We won. Forget the pick. If we end up with number 7 pick, let's get Love. Well, I'm all in on Jeremiah Love already,
I know you're all in on Jeremiah Love. Listen,
this is chill mode, by the way.
As much as I want the number 1 pick, I'm telling you, as much as I want the number 1 pick, you don't think I was cheering at the end of that victory and I was saying, let's go with the win? Like, I was thrilled. Oh, my Lord. We have got another from
Debata.
We're still debating the name. I don't know if he left a comment. I didn't see a follow-up comment. We're still debating the name. But our second $20 super tip of the day. This is I not in my wildest dreams did I see this coming. We appreciate you so much. And I disagreed with you on the last super tip. I 100% agree with you on this one. The Titans and Browns roster, it's not even close. The Browns have the far better roster than the Titans do right now. It is not even close. Thank you so much for the tip. Thank you so much for the insightful comment. That is bang on correct, because that is accurate. The Browns have a far better roster than the Titans do, and the Titans still won this football game. I think that says a lot. Wow, a follow-up tip here by DJ
Chill
Silent.
mode.
Support when I can. Again, there is no super tip that is too big or too small, and I mean that more of the too small. Like, the fact that you guys are willing to spend, even if it's a cup of coffee, I mean, instead of a cup of coffee, you do that for us. That means the world to us. And a $10 tip, DJ, is incredibly generous. We thank you so much for that. Nowadays, I think a Big Mac runs about $10. So that is incredibly generous of you. Thank you so much. As we've been hanging out for 55 minutes now, again, I enjoyed the win. I did. I felt like I had the devil and the angel on my shoulder, because there were times where I was like, I'd like to maintain control of the number one pick. But then there were other times where, like, I have barely celebrated any victories over the last 2 years. And I won't lie to you, because of the Shedeur narrative, maybe I enjoyed this one a little bit more. But I had a lot of fun watching the Titans win that football game. I really did. So, Graver, I don't know if you've got anything to add, but let the chips fall where they may. We're not out there playing. Although if we were, I thought that Tony Pollard 35-yard touchdown run, I thought I might have been able to run that for a touchdown, because the hole that the O-line created on that one was unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say, like, at the end, I texted our chat. I was like, I wouldn't mind a Tony Pollard signature fumble moment right here. And when the Browns were lined up to go for 2, I was like, if they convert this, they convert it. It'd be great to see Cam with, like, a chance with less than a minute to go get a game-winning field goal maybe, or you take it to overtime and pad his stats a little so he doesn't finish 14 of 28 for 117 yards. But ultimately, when the Titans came up with the stop, it was like, time to celebrate. Cam Ward gets a win. Jeffrey Simmons gets a win. Nobody in that building wants a win more than Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons. Like, those two guys, it's all they talk about every time they speak to the media. So I'm happy for them that they get to experience it.
That's Mike McCoy's first win.
Well, that doesn't make me happy at all. Mike McCoy can go, get at it. Call a timeout on that one play, dude. Like, what are you doing, man?
What if I was going to take a delay of game? I think I'm a little bit more
apologetic. Let him.
On 3rd and 3, no. You want to avoid the 3rd and 8.
It's 3rd and 8 anyway, because J.C. Latham false starts.
After the timeout.
Yeah, but guess what? You let your rookie quarterback get the playoff, which he successfully did. And if he doesn't, then you say, hey, next time I'm going to call timeout, or you got to be faster.
Or you're saying, I can't believe he didn't call a timeout.
Never would have said that. He's gotten one delay a game, I think, this whole season, but he's gotten one before. So, yeah, I don't know if Sanders completely outplayed Cam, but he did outproduce him by a lot. And it was nice to see, Justin, this is how I'll close it. This is my final thought. It was nice to see the Titans play a team that's not like going to make the playoffs or going to be competing very closely to make the playoffs. For the first time since the Cardinals game or the Raiders game. I guess the Raiders game was after the Cardinals game.
Raiders came right after,
yeah. But yeah.
Another, DJ Silent with it. I believe his second tip of the
chill
stream,
mode.
DJ,
we appreciate it, but that's
incredible, DJ. You didn't, chill mode. You didn't have to do that, but we appreciate you so much. Shedeur had a good game, but F him. I mean, I think that's probably the way to close. RQB won. They had to throw. They were down 2 T's. They did not play complimentary football. Titans played complimentary football on offense, where they got a big game from Tony Pollard. On defense, where they got an interception from Xavier Woods and a forced fumble from Marcus Harris. And on special teams, where they got a 50-yard kick return to start the game by Chimere Dike, and their first blocked punt in 14 years by James Williams. The first time the Titans have played a complimentary, in my opinion, in all 3 phases, a complimentary game this year. It is no secret, when you play complimentary football, you get wins. That's what they got today. That was unbelievable. Tighten up. I'm going to enjoy the victory. Not going to worry about the draft stuff too much, because guess what? If they end up picking number 3, they're still going to get Arvell Reese, or they're still going to get Carnell Tate or Ruben Bain. They're still going to get a difference maker that will be a premium talent on this team next season. And there's a lot of football left. And just as we saw today, literally anything can happen. The Saints beat the Bucs. I would love to see a Raiders win here in the second half. I doubt it. But that would keep them at number 2 overall. That would be ideal, considering what happened. I think that's going to do it for today's episode. 1 hour we went on the live stream. When the Titans win a football game, we go a little bit longer. We had a ton of fun with you guys. Shout out to Nick. I frequently interact with Nick, both in the YouTube comments and I believe on Twitter. Just got on, but happy for the win. Nick, you missed 58 good minutes. Make sure you watch this stream. It's about to end. Thank you guys so much.
One last thing, Justin. I just want to let our very loyal audience know how much we appreciate them, but also that next week's game is against the San Francisco 49ers. It is a late window kickoff. Not just a 3 o'clock Central, 3:25, the latest kick possible, which if you guys have been following us, you will know that means that we will not be able to do an hour-long show next week, regardless of a win or loss. I'll have to probably be in and out in 20 minutes next week to get ready for my real job, which is a bummer, but it's the last late kickoff of the year, and because of what's happening next week, we just kept going this week. And now we're over an hour, and we appreciate you guys for hanging out this long, but we had to do that because we had to make up for what next week's stream is going to look like.
Either way, I mean, I'll be here. So if there's any way that you could, I could stick around, we'll figure it out. I'll be here and I'll be happy to do it. We went for 1 hour. That is truly incredible. Proud of this football team. They got a big win today. They took a step in the right direction. No doubt about it. Big win in a spot that got a lot of attention because of the Shedeur Sanders versus Cam Ward hype. And as I say this, if one of you are in this chat right now and you are not subscribed to the channel, we are one subscriber away from 5,600. It would mean the world if you could get us to 5,600 before the end of this stream, or right at the end of it. That works too. And when the stream ends, do us a favor, wait for it to end, leave a comment below, leave a comment after the stream ends. Helps boost the algorithm, get us into the streams, if you will, of people who didn't get to join in this hour-long stream, and they'll watch it afterwards. Thank you so much to everyone. This was our most successful live stream of the year. I cannot believe all the super tips. Thank you so much for your generosity. It truly means the world for us, especially because Graver and I have full-time jobs in football. This is a passion project of ours, so we thank you so much for it. Until tomorrow, where we'll be back for a full episode talking Tennessee Titans football. Y'all stay safe out there. Thank you so much. We love you. I added something extra. And tighten up.
A Broadway sports media production.